Hello everyone, today we're going to learn about digital imaging in multimedia application and production. Start with introduction to digital imaging. So what is digital imaging? Digital imaging is the process of creating, capturing, processing, and storing images using digital technology rather than traditional film or analog methods. Now we are not talking about traditional film or analog methods because of the advancement of technology. Nowadays, when we capture images by using a camera, the picture or the image is not stored in those film tapes, okay? Rather than the millions of pixels joined together to form that image. So what is being done is that when you capture the image, then it converts the light into digital signal, which are then processed and stored as grid of pixels. As we said, pixels are those just minute, very small representation of that image. It can be a color, hue, etc. So these digital images can be manipulated, enhanced, and used in various applications like photograph, medical imaging, and graphic design. As we say, these are not analog. So that image that has been captured, processed, and stored can be used in various of things, like you can use in photograph, like manipulating it to form another kind of image, can be used in medical imaging, can be used in graphic design. So these images that are digital, the digital images can be used in various forms, can be manipulated in many forms. Key aspects of digital imaging. One is image capture. So how do we capture image? We capture image by using these digital cameras, mobile phones. And what they do is to convert the real world images into digital form. Also, image can be captured by using scanners. Like scanners are used to digitize the physical image. Like you have your photo printed on a paper, then you want to bring it into a soft copy again, then you use scanner. Also, medical imaging are used to capture images like the X-rays, the CT scans, MRIs. They use specialized equipment to capture those digital images of human body, aiding in diagnosis and treatment. The second key aspect is image representation. Digital images are composed of tiny squares called pixels, each with a numerical value representing its color or grayscale intensity. So, as we say that digital images are represented by using pixels, then tiny squares that represent, for example, can be a color, can be a hue, intensity, etc. The digital image data, those pixels, colors, etc., are stored in a file format. So there are different kind of file formats that represent the digital image. We have various or many kind of formats, like we have JPG, PNG, TIF, or RAW. So these files include information about the image, can be dimensions, resolution, or compression techniques. Key aspect is image processing. So image processing involves editing, editing those images, like you have already captured the images. The image is in a certain file format, can either be a raw file format, and then you want to process that image, like you want to change colors, you want maybe to enhance the colors, you want to do photo retouching, okay? you want to add brightness, you want to reduce maybe the highlights, you want to increase or brighten the shadows, etc. Those kind of operations, we say you are doing editing. Okay, you are editing an image. So processing of digital image involves a lot of things. Okay, for example, you can take that image, someone who has a lot of blemishes on his or her face, and then you can remove those blemishes. You can even the skin tone, those kind of photo retouching skills. Okay, so that is image processing. So the digital images also support editing, unlike the analog images that were taken at previous years, that when you take them, you cannot go back or you cannot process those images rather than printing them. But digital images, you can edit those images by using different kind of softwares. Like we have Adobe Photoshop, we have GIMP, we have Adobe Lightroom. All of these software and many other more out there can be used to edit these digital images. Okay, let's see how the image are being stored, compressed, and distributed, or the output. Now, images or the digital images are typically stored electronically on computers, hard drives, or cloud storage services. Now, when we talk about computers, actually we talk about also the either laptops, desktop, handheld devices. When we talk about the hard drives, actually these like external storage, the USB, and the cloud storage services, we talk about the Google Drive. This where you store your data somewhere on the cloud and you can access them through via the internet. And the digital images can be compressed. Compression means the reduction of the file size. Now we can compress the images in a lossy compression format or lossy compression. When you talk about lossy, it means you sacrifice some quality. Okay, you get the small file size, you get the file which is very small, but actually the quality of that image is being sacrificed, is being lost. Okay, it's been reduced, the quality is being reduced. Now the lossless compression retains full detail of the image, retains the full quality of the image. Now when you come to file size, the lossy compressed file is more smaller in size compared to the lossless compressed file. When we see you see the JPG file, that is a file which has been compressed by using a lossy compression. In PNG, this is the lossless compression format. Now, how does these digital images be shared? It's easier to share the digital images, unlike the analog type of images that we used to have. Digital images, as are processed or stored electronically, it means they can be shared electronically. You can share the image through emails, through social media. Okay, you can share it anywhere on the internet. Okay, or you can also use that digital image to print in various sizes. You can use the same image to print in A2, A3, A4, or even billboards. So it is very easier to share the digital images. Now, another key aspect is application. Where are the digital images being applied? Digital images can be applied in photograph and videograph, means still pictures or still photos and moving photos or moving pictures actually. Also, when we use X-rays and MRIs, those machines takes digital images and be used to diagnose some diseases. But also, satellite images can be used in remote sensing. We use images in graphic design, we use images in animation, we use images in security system surveillances. Okay, So all these digital images being captured by different kind of devices are useful in various and in different ways. Okay, shows the difference between the analog images and digital images in different features, like you differentiate them by their definition, their examples, the image representation. As we saw that digital images use pixels, but analog images use the light intensity captured on a film or paper. Storage medium, as we saw that digital images are electronically stored while the analog images are physically media like film or paper. In editing, okay, it's very easy to edit digital images and very limited to analog images. Copy quality, when you copy the analog images, you cannot produce the same quality over and over. But digital images, when you want to share the images, copy it somewhere, you can copy it and copy it, but the quality still remains the same as long as you don't actually share on some compressed formats. Transmission. It's very difficult to transmit or to actually to distribute analog images, but it's very easy to distribute or to transmit the digital images, because you can transfer them electronically through emails, internet, social medias, etc. Types of digital images. Digital images can broadly be classified into two main types: raster and vector. Let's start with the raster images. Raster images are also known as bitmap images. These images are composed of pixels arranged in a grid. Okay, so raster images are made of pixels, are composed of pixels, those small squares that have different kind of information of the image, like color, contrast, etc. The common formats of the raster images are JPG, PNG, GIF, TIFF. These all are raster images. So when you see these file formats, these represent that the data that has been stored in that file, the raster images. So raster images are well suited for photos and other images with complex details because they can store a wide range of colors and shades. The main disadvantage of raster images is that it can be pixelated. Pixelated means lost quality when resized. And file size can be large, especially for higher resolution images. So those are the main disadvantages: lose quality when resized, but also having the large file size if you have the image which is higher in resolution. Type is vector images. Vector images use mathematical equation to define lines, curves, and shapes, storing only the key points that define image. Okay, so we saw the raster stores the information of image using pixels, but vector use mathematical equation to define the parts of the image. The common formats of vector images are like SVG and EPS. These vector images can be scaled to any size without losing quality. So vector images do not become pixelated. Okay, but also the file sizes of this image vector images are typically smaller rather than the raster images. But the main disadvantage is that vector images are not suited for photos or images with complex information like gradients, shading, because of their reliance on lines and curves. Let's look at the digital image fundamentals. Now let's talk about pixels. Earlier we saw that digital images are made of pixels, right? The representation of digital images by pixels. Pixels, what are pixels? Pixels are the smallest indivisible elements of an image or a video frame. When you talk about a video frame, it's just single image. So image is made up of pixels, is indivisible element. It means that is the smallest part of the image. That image, when it is broken down to the final stage, you found that 1 pixel. So each pixel represents a single point of color and brightness. Joined together, they form a grid that creates the overall image. So the pixels also contribute to overall quality of the image. So when you have many number of pixels, when you have more pixels in an image, the detail or the more the detail that image becomes. That's why when you talk about this, maybe full HD, like HD, 4K and 2K, you can see these numbers increase when the quality increase. That when you have more pixel, it means that the quality of the image becomes high. So for example, we have this a full HD image, which is 1920 by 1080. These are number of pixels in width. Width means this 1920 is the width, and the height of the image has 1080 pixels. Now, when you multiply this, you get like 2 million pixels, which is like, also like 2 megapixel. Mega stands for this million number of pixels. Okay, so an image that is full HD has this number of pixels. Image that is less like HD only or standard definition, the SD, has the fewer number of pixels, and the image which is like 2K, 4K, you see that it increases the number of pixels. To understand in digital image is resolution. So what is resolution? Resolution describes the total number of pixels in an image. Okay, so you will see earlier about the aspect ratio, because we kind of confusing between the resolution and the aspect ratio. Now, aspect ratio only defines the proportion relation between the width and height of the image. We talked about resolution in previous lecture, in previous slide, that the pixels contribute to the overall quality of the image. The overall quality of the image is called the resolution. Okay, so it's also measured in width and height. Like we have the pixel for the width and also the pixel for the height. When you multiply them together, now you get the total number of all pixels in that image. So what's the formula? The formula is higher resolution equals to greater number of pixels, and lower resolution equals to pixelated or lower quality image. So that's the meaning of resolution. Aspect ratio in detail. As we saw earlier, that aspect ratio only determine or describe the proportional relationship between the width and height of their image. Does not talk about the number of pixels available in that image. It just describes the relationship between the width and height. That's why it is in form of ratios. So aspect ratio determines how an image or video is displayed on a screen and can affect how it fits and looks. Now we have these common aspect ratios. We have 4:3. This was mostly used on those old TV and monitors where the TV was not too much horizontal like today. Okay, now today we have horizontal screens which has different aspect ratio. The aspect ratio of today's screen or modern TVs and monitors is 16 by 9. So it has 16 inches width and 9 inches height. It can be inches, it can be centimeters, it can either be any kind of measurement unit, but it means that you go 16 inches like width and 9 inches height. Now when you display you display this content, which is 4 by 3 ratio. It means that on your modern screen, which is 16 by 9, this kind of content will not fit the whole screen. It will maybe fit on the center and leave the black bars on the sides of your screen. When we say 1:1, this is represent the square image or photo, mostly used, for example, in Instagram photos, also in some different kind of profile photos, for example, in WhatsApp. When you go to cinematic displays, you have this 21 by 9 ratio. So it just represents the relationship between the width and the height of an image represented on that display. This is the summary difference between the resolution and aspect ratio based on from the definition, like the total number of pixels in this. This is the resolution. The proportional relationship of width and height is the aspect ratio. Resolution is measured in pixel, but aspect ratio is measured in ratios. Resolution describes the detail or quality of the image, but the aspect ratio determines or describes the width and height, how the image will be displayed. The resolution impact on the sharpness and file size. Aspect ratio impact on how wide the image will appear on the screen. So for example, as we can see these numbers, these pixels, but this, when you see this, means this is the aspect ratio of that image. Look at bit depth and color channels. Bit depth, also known as color depth, is the number of bits used to represent the color of a single pixel. Now, what does bit depth impact on a color? A higher bit depth allows a wider range of colors and more subtle variations in shades, resulting in more accurate and realistic representation of image. Okay, so impact on color. The bit depth allows wider range. If you have a higher bit depth, it means that you have a wider range of colors. You have a wider range of variation. You have more accurate and realistic representation of image. Common bit depth we have 8-bit. 8-bit is typically used in standard RGB images. Now 8-bit depth involve only 256 colors, okay, and about 16.7 million possible colors. So these 256 shades of color, which RGB means red, green, and blue, combination can produce 16.7 million possible colors. We have another common bit depth, which is 16-bit. This one offers even more colors compared to 8-bit, over a billion of colors. And the 32-bit provides the widest range of color compared to the two, 16 and 8. So this one produces even more professional look. Okay, so when you talk about 32-bit, it can also produce like 16 billions and more or possible colors. At the color channels. Color channels represent individual components that make up a color. Okay, so we have RGB channels like the red, green, and blue channels that combine together to form a specific color. RGB channels are used in most of the digital displays. So in most digital display, colors are created by combining red, green, and blue light. So all the colors that you see in digital displays are formed by the combination of the RGB. So the clarity of these displays, representation of color, will depend on the depth, the bit depth of a color. Some display have few bit depth, like 8 bits. Others go even to 32 bits. So the display with more bit depth would represent the colors very accurate compared to those with a smaller bit depth. But we also have these different color channels, like we have grayscale. The grayscale images use a single channel to represent shades of gray, ranging from black and white. So the ones, the grayscale channels represent black and white color. We have the CMYK channels. CMYK means the cyan, magenta, yellow, and black colors. These channels are used to reproduce colors most in printing. So if you want to print something, these same colors are used in printing. So they take those colors like RGB and combine them together to form this CMYK, and which are used in printing. All right. Bit depth determines the number of colors an image can display. So can be 16 million colors, 1 billion colors, 16 billion colors or more. So determines number of colors, the amount of colors that a display can give. Okay, but the color channels means they represent the individual component that make up a color. So it can be a red, green, blue. It can be cyan, magenta, black, or yellow. It can be a grayscale like black and white. So that individual component that represent this is red, this is blue, this is the mixture between red and blue, that is color channel. And as we say, the higher bit depth means the more possible colors a display can produce. Okay, and color channels like red, green, blue, these are the building blocks of colors and mostly used in digital displays. And CMYK is also mostly used in what? Printing. Look at image capture devices. In the first key aspect of digital imaging, that is image capture. Now, getting the digital images, you can use different kind of devices. Okay, now we are going to talk about a digital camera. A digital camera, a device that is used to capture images. So a digital camera is a hardware device that takes photographs and stores the image as data on a memory card. Analog camera used film chemicals to expose the film chemicals to light, then it stores the light in form of film. Okay, so digital camera use different approach, like it takes the color and convert it into pixel data. The digital camera we're talking about can either be a dedicated camera, can either be a smartphone. All of these used to capture images, but also not only images, but also can record a video. Now, we have laptops, or we have seen laptops with the camera that is connected to your computer. But this camera actually has no storage. Could be also called a digital camera. However, it's more appropriate to refer it as a webcam, because itself does not act as a camera, because it only captures the image but does not store that image. So it's appropriate to call it as a webcam and not completely a digital camera. History of digital cameras. So digital camera originates from 1975, where the first electronic still camera was developed by the Kodak engineer Steven Sasson. It was something very big, it was bulky, and it produced only black and white images onto a cassette tape. 1981, Sony introduced Sony Mavic. It recorded analog signals to a floppy disk, not fully digital images like today. The first full digital camera was introduced in 1988. It recorded images on semiconductor memory card. This was the Fuji DS1R. In 1991, Kodak launched the first commercially available digital single lens reflex, a DSLR camera. Okay, so this one was called DCS100. 1994, the first consumer digital camera, a joint effort between Kodak and Apple. Okay, they introduced their camera, which was the first consumer digital camera. Now, in the year 1990s to 2000s, the rapid increase in popularity and affordability of digital cameras eventually leading to their widespread adoption and the decline of film technology. Film photography. Right now, actually, we can only have easy access on these digital cameras rather than the film cameras, like the analog cameras. I've never touched them for years now. Very rare to get them because have been wiped away by the digital cameras. See how digital camera work. Now, when you take a digital camera and then you focus on a subject or object, what happens is that the first thing, light enters the lens. So the lens focuses this light onto the image sensor. Now, that was the first thing. The second thing is the shutter opens. Now, when you click that shutter button, you open the shutter. This allows the light to hit the image sensor. Now, the shutter opens like a door, which allows light to enter. And the lens focuses that light onto the image sensor. So after the light hit the image sensor converts light into electric signals. Okay, so the electric signals then are being converted to digital image file by their processor. That's the fourth step, that the processor converts those signals into digital image file. Then the image is stored in a memory card and displayed on a screen. That's why you take a camera, you press the shutter button. The shutter button opens, the light enters the camera, is directed to the image sensor. The signals are converted to the image file, stored in memory card, then it displays on your camera. The key components of digital camera, or the key parts of the digital camera. So a digital camera is made up of a body, the main housing that holds all the components together is called the body. Lens, which we saw that it's the aim of the lens is to focus the light onto the image sensor. The lens can be fixed or interchangeable, means that there are cameras that lens cannot be detached, okay, cannot be removed. And there are cameras that the body and lens are separate, that you can have the body and then attach the lens to it, okay. Another part is image sensor. Now, image sensor is the crucial part in a camera because it's the one that transforms that light, converts that light to those signals that later on are the ones, those signals are converted to what we see on that camera. It's like a retina of your eye that it interprets what you see. Also, the image sensor of a camera interprets what that light is. We have image processor. Image processor works to process the digital data, the signals from their sensor to produce that file that you see on the screen and you can share on computer, manipulate it or edit it, and other manipulation. We have shutter. Shutter controls the duration of time the sensor is exposed to light. Okay, so that duration of time is what gives birth to shutter speed. The speed of the shutter, the time it takes for a camera to open to allow that light to enter the camera. We have the aperture. Aperture is found inside the lens. That this is an opening, it's the door, it's like an opening which within the lens that controls the amount of light passing through. It's like opening, it opens and closes. So if you increase or decrease the aperture, it means you either increase or decrease the size of that hole, the size of that door where the light is controlled, whether too much light or small amount of light allowed to enter the camera. The viewfinder, where this is the place where you focus it's like you see through the camera, you see the object or the subject through your camera. Your camera can be like normal viewfinder, like optical viewfinder, as we can find in DSLR cameras, or EVF, electronic viewfinders, on mirrorless cameras, or the modern digital cameras we have. Okay, we have LCD screen where you see your pictures or other settings. You have the memory card slot where you insert the memory card to store your photos. You have a battery to give power to your camera. We have the flash which gives extra light when you need it in some environment where has less amount of light. So this flash can either be built-in or hot shoe. I mean, built-in is the one which comes with the camera, and the hot shoe is the one which you take, you buy a separate flash, then you attach it to the hot shoe of your camera. The metering system ensures that the light in the scene is determined well to get the correct exposure. The autofocus system, this automatically adjusts the lens to get the focus of the subject, or to put the subject in focus. Now, these are just few of the components or parts of the digital camera. There are a lot of different parts, as we can see, or you can see later on other attached documents. I would like you to read them and understand more the digital camera parts or components. These are different sides of the digital camera. As we can see, they are labeled. You can check these parts of the camera and find their, like if you have already discussed before, or others which you have not discussed before, you can find more about parts. Our lecture, let's look at the image sensor. This is the most crucial part in a camera, okay? Because if we have like small image sensor, you get the quality which is not so high, no? Because when you have a large image sensor, right now, as you can see, the fight of smartphones in photographs, like they compete. This phone has maybe smaller image sensor, and its competitor comes with a larger image sensor. Now, the sensor is the heart of a digital camera, okay? So it's a semiconductor chip containing millions of light-sensitive elements called the photosites or pixels. It's the heart of digital camera. It's where the image is being like translated, it's being converted now, it's being written to get that final output. So we have two main types of sensors. We have the CCD, charge coupled devices. We have the CMOS, the complementary metal oxide semiconductor. Now, the CCD converts light into electric charge in each pixel and then transfers this charge across the chip to be read. The CMOS, each pixel has its own amplifier, allowing for faster readout and lower power consumption in many modern cameras. This one, due to its faster speed, amplification of each pixel, and consumption of low power, makes it more usable in many modern cameras compared to the CCD or the charge coupled devices. This table, which summarizes the difference between the CCD and the CMOS, you can pass through as we can see. Okay. Yeah. You can just pause it and just pass through these features, the difference between the different features between the CCD and CMOS sensors. The current trends of the image sensor, due to the advantages, as we said before, in speed, power consumption, cost, and the amplification of those pixels, like increasing the image quality, CMOS sensors has become the dominant technology in most digital cameras, including the smartphones, the DSLRs, and mirrorless cameras. While the CCDs still hold a niche in some specialized scientific and industrial application where image quality and low noise are paramount and cost is less. Actually, yes, but as from now, let us know that the CMOS are the one or predominant or dominant sensors that are used in most of the digital cameras. The image in a camera is being processed, as we saw in those key steps, right? So after the sensor like read the light, then it's being processed to get that final digital data, right? So processor performs various operations, including white balance. In camera, you can adjust how colors appear natural under different light conditions. Why white balance? You can test how white color appear in different conditions, like when you are in like sunlight, when you are in tungsten lights or the room lights, white can appear different. It can appear more blue, it can appear more yellow. Now bringing that or removing that tint, the blue tint or the yellow tint from white, is what we call white balance. So the camera can adjust that for you, can process the white balance and adjust it automatically for you. Also, processor perform noise reduction. So there are those like unwanted artifacts in an image, a processor can reduce those and make your image more sharper. And sharpening, it involves like enhancing or increasing the details of the image. It can do color processing, ensuring that the color representation is accurate. The processor can also do compression, like reducing file size. Like you can take a photo and yourself decide whether to leave it as a raw photo, which is a lossless compressed file, or you can change the format of the file to be a lossy file, like a JPG. So when you take a photo, it takes those data and at the end of the time, compress that file to give you a JPG file format, which is a compressed, lossy compressed file format. Exposure triangle is one of the crucial part in digital imaging, like when you capture photos. In order to get a well balanced exposed photo or image, you should understand and get familiar to how to use the exposure triangle. Exposure triangle basically includes three things. Okay, the ISO, shutter speed, and aperture. All together gives you a well exposed image when set accurately. Okay, when you know how to use them and when you set them as how needed depending on different conditions that you are in. Explain physically about the exposure triangle. Like we are going to discuss it more physically, like having the camera and try to take some photos and see how these three things relate to each other, the ISO, shutter speed, and the aperture, and how they contribute to either having an underexposed image or overexposed image. When I say underexposed image, it means you get an image that has more shadows than highlights. And when you say an overexposed image, that you get the image which have more highlights than shadows. Now, after that, I want you go pass through the types of digital cameras, their pros and cons, parts of DSLR cameras, camera lenses. All these are included or attached on your Google Classroom. So these files are also attached here, so you can just pass through because other stuff we've already talked about. So you just go and like add some more knowledge. Thank you so much.